Good evening all, and welcome. Well, today we have something a little different again. I'm sure you'll all remember the video I did on hemorrhoids about a month ago, and if you don't, check it out, it's pretty funny. In the comments section of that video, I challenged a user to get 100 likes on his comments, where he was requesting diarrhea stories. As you guessed, he got over 100 likes. And here we are. As before, these stories can be quite disgusting, so if you aren't one for toilet humour, then feel free to click away. I've left links in the description with different videos for you to indulge in. But without further ado, it's time to get comfortable and let the brownness take control. Number 1. I spent a summer in Thailand. Whilst there, I got dysentery. I lost 50 pounds in 3 weeks. All that weight blasted through my ass, except for when I threw up. Often, these would come together and at the same time. This was one of those moments. I was at a mall on the outside of Bangkok with 3 fellow US travelers and about 5 local Thais. I had been in Thailand for about 6 weeks and could kind of get around with directions. The mall we were at wasn't very touristy, so there wasn't much English there. We ate dinner at the fine establishment of Pizza Hut. I was craving American food and got the meat lover's pizza. After dinner, I felt a huge rumble in my stomach. I asked my Thai friends where the restrooms were, and they gave me the directions. There were no little man or woman signs, just the words written out in Thai, so naturally, I walked right past it. I asked a Thai person how to get to the bathroom, and of course they couldn't speak English. I got my basic directions in Thai and actually found it. Doing the butt clench trot the whole way there, I was starting to really sweat, and I could feel my body start to get really hot. I get to the restroom, and they don't have toilet paper in each stall. They have 2 giant rolls when you walk in, and you have to take as much as you need before you actually get to the stall. I pull as much as I can whilst trying to clench as tight as possible. I feel as bad as I ever have. My mouth is getting that pre-puke watering, and my butt is about to explode. So as I clench walk back to the bathroom, holding just a few grabs of toilet paper and unbuttoning my shorts, I start to sit back. Before my ass even hits the seat, it just explodes. Simultaneously, I throw up. My ass is not on the seat, so there is shit everywhere. I was bending over when all of this happened, so naturally I threw up in my shorts. There is bath and shit on my shorts, shoes, underwear, and now the seat, and the walls, everywhere. Yeah, and since I was in the process of sitting down when my ass exploded, I sat in it too. And my ass and hamstrings are covered in shit. I just go at it, throwing up in the stool while shitting my brains out. Not only is that super unpleasant, but I am starting to really run a fever, and there is not a part of me that doesn't feel good. So I finally finish up. All I have to clean with is a tiny bit of toilet paper on my shirt. Luckily, I was wearing an undershirt, so after I exhausted the toilet paper on my hamstrings, the undershirt takes care of the rest of my ass. But I am still filthy. The most terrible thing is that my boxer briefs are holding a bunch of shit and puke combo, and I have no clue how I'm going to get it out of there. I just have to strip off everything. Shoes off, socks off. They're relatively clean, so I go ahead and try to clean them. Shorts and underwear are off, so I have a clean t-shirt and I'm naked otherwise, and still have some puke and shit on me. No toilet paper, because those bastards didn't see reason to have toilet paper in the individual stalls. So I take my shitty shoes and shitty shorts and leave the socks, undershirt, and underwear in the stall. I walk out naked and barefoot, except for my t-shirt that I'm holding up underneath my armpits, and go to the far sink to start cleaning myself up. Of course, it is one of those press for 5 seconds of cold water sinks. As I am finishing cleaning the crap off me, the 2 cleaning ladies walk in. So here is a white guy wearing a t-shirt, hunched up to his armpits soaking wet, with no clothes in the bathroom of a major mall and shit footprints across the floor leading to myself. They kinda looked stunned and just turned around and left. I wash what I have in the sink and put it back on. Now my shoes are making those squeaky wet sounds as I walk with no socks, my shorts are dripping wet, and my shirt is only wet at the very bottom where it hit the shorts. Of course the mall is closing. I can't buy new stuff anywhere, and I still have to meet up with my friends and grab a cab ride about an hour back to where we were staying. And you know what? This is the only time that it wasn't raining in Bangkok. But I am drenched. My travel companions asked me what happened, and I just tell them that I'd tell them later. But I never did. But I'm sure they had an idea from the smell. So that is the shittiest thing that's ever happened to me. A day later, I was in a Thai hospital with doctors that didn't speak English, and an old lady nurse translating said that the doctor said I need to eat more good Thai food. Number 2. I was working overseas. There was an Italian restaurant across the street from my office. One day, I ate lunch there and got tortellini, filled with some sort of cheese that I had never eaten before. It was the best damn tortellini that I've ever had. I get back to my desk, and about an hour later, I fart, and liquid poop starts dripping down my leg. I run to the bathroom, and I am on the toilet for most of the rest of the workday. I literally couldn't leave the bathroom for hours. The poop just kept coming. I ride home on the bus with shit-stained underwear, get home, and spend a bit more time in the bathrooms there. Now, because I'm a scientist, a week later at work, with no diarrhea since that incident, I decide to run an experiment to see if it was in fact the tortellini. I go to the restaurant, order the tortellini, eat it, and then immediately go sit on the toilet and wait. It turns out it was in fact the tortellini. Number 3. So, I went to France with my French exchange student girlfriend, who is now my wife, and her parents, whilst her dad was going back on a business trip. We were just tagging along. We were going to spend a night in Lyon, and then hang out next day before driving to Clermont-Ferrand, where her dad got off for work. We went out for a nice dinner. The restaurant had a tarte du boeuf on the menu. I love raw meat, so I went for it. So damn good. It came ground, shaped like a bowl, with scallions and raw egg in the middle. My taste buds were in heaven. Next morning, her dad had already left for work, and we were slowly checking out the hotel. I noticed my abdomen grumbling a little bit, but we had to check out and store our bags. We walked with her mum to the local mall to grab a coffee, pastry, and do some shopping. My guts are starting to really hurt and feel heavy. I excuse myself to the bathroom. Public bathrooms in France don't provide the level of privacy that one might be used to back at home. If the cleaning woman needs to come in, she will, and she doesn't care if you're there. And if some other person needs to use the stool, they can and will make it known. At first, I sat down, not minding that it wasn't clean as I really needed to go. I got my drawers down, asked on the lid, and launched a large musket ball out under so much pressure it exploded on impact and splashed everywhere. That was the easy part. Next came the gas. It was a comical amount, with ferocious intensity. I got applause followed by plenty of mon Dieu, as the odour started to spread. This was followed by more shotgun blasts, clearing out anything solid that had already been in my bowels prior to dinner the night before. At this point my arse hurt something fierce. After doing my best work to break the bowl beneath me, I did a fire hydrant impression, and several torrents of brown liquid of the most foul extruded from my lower body with the force of a VHP pressure washer. The colourful language I was hearing from my fellow patrons grew decidedly more vulgar, and very disgusted with me. The liquid that would spasmodiadically run out of my nethers got lighter in colour, and eventually became almost clear yet grey. But I was not done. This was just the first of 20 minutes of my journey through hell. The toilet paper could have been made of the finest down, but I would not have appreciated it. 2 rolls in, and my arse was on fire, and felt like I had been hit with a belt stander, and my clothes were soaked in sweat that was dripping from me, from head to toe. At this point my bowels were shooting blanks, so I took my chance to find a hole, to violate the hopes of finding more toilet paper. Fortunately for me, I had cleared the public restroom out with the smell so unholy, no strange Frenchman was willing to enter. I moved to the other stall. The act of standing caused additional problems. My brain rightfully had figured out that I had been poisoned, and determined the best course of action was to ensure that there was nothing in my stomach. I yawned in technicolor all over the second stall. Since it was a large mall, and one of the only public facilities in this place, I was lucky it had a total of 3 stalls, so I retreated to the third. I had vomit bits and spittle on my mouth and chest. I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I was as grey as the liquid that would occasionally drain out my arse. And I was starting to form a salt crust on my extremities from the evaporating sweat that covered my body. A cleaning lady came for her usual rounds, and then noped out of there, cursing me all the while, and they hung a close sign on the door. My wife did check on me as the day progressed from time to time, but I spent it in a delirium of tortured smells, grey water falling from my intestines, vomit, and sweat. At the end of the day, I somehow managed to crawl out of my personal circle of hell, to stumble into the car, for what should have been a 2-hour drive. We stopped at every truck stop along the way, so that I could remind the French that sometimes their rude attitudes would not be tolerated. We got to the next hotel, in Clermont-Ferrand, around 9 p.m. I climbed into the shower, and let it run over me for an hour in an attempt to wash the shame off my soul. 12 hours of putting the fear of God into the local populace with my intestines. I slept for the next 24 hours, and finally woke up with the worst headache from dehydration I had ever had, weighing nearly a solid 10 pounds lighter. A couple of months ago, I had to go to orientation for the university I transferred to. Now, I was living about 5 hours away from the university at the time, and the orientation was at 9 a.m. So I had to get up early in the morning and start driving. I stopped for breakfast on my way, and had a couple of coffees as well. Now, this is my first time stepping foot on campus. Yeah, I know. I should have gone up there and checked it out before officially transferring. But gasoline is expensive, so I didn't. As you could have probably guessed, I'm having trouble finding where I'm supposed to go for orientation. Luckily, I left plenty early, so I've got about an hour and a half to find out where I need to go, and I'm just wandering around the campus aimlessly, looking for any sign of life on this godforsaken campus. And that's when it started. I could feel it coming on, and I knew this was going to be one hell of a shit. I scanned the giant quad in front of me for any restrooms, but no dice. My eyes landed on the cafeteria though. Bingo. There's got to be a toilet in there. I start sprint walking over there as fast as I can without opening my arse cheeks any wider than they need to. And after what seemed like an eternity, I finally made it. But the doors were locked. The suffering I had already gone through was nothing compared to what was about to happen next. With all the buildings locked and no bathroom in sight, I figured I would have to go back in my car and drive a couple of blocks to a gas station I passed on the way in. I didn't know if I could make it, but I knew I had to try. Any other options I had didn't seem all that appealing. I shuffled back into my car with urgency I had never felt before. I got in and sat down. Big mistake. I was starting to shit, and I knew it. In a fit of panic, I scanned the parking lot one more time. I couldn't see anyone. So I dropped my jeans and lifted my ass over the seat just enough to get my coffee cup underneath me. I missed. I missed bad. Shit fell down into my seat beneath me, and I quickly readjusted and started shitting in the cup. And that's when I needed to pee. I assume I had always needed to pee, but shit had taken such a strong precedence, because at that moment I hadn't even noticed. I positioned my other coffee cup so there was no way I would miss. There were splatters, from both ends. Now my shit cup was overflowing, and this was an XL cup, and I hadn't pulled my pants down very much. I had sacrificed safety for speed, and I paid the price. Shit was falling out the front of the cup into my underwear. Tidy whities. I just gave up, finished shitting in my underwear. I pulled my pants up, drove back to the gas station with shit smeared on my hands. The entrance to the station was bumpy, and I had neglected to put a lid on my piss. So you can guess what happened. I got out, threw my cup into the garbage, wiped my hand on the paper towel that were meant for the windshield, and then went inside for the bathroom. In my first bit of good luck all day, it was unoccupied and only fit one person, so I wouldn't have to worry about people barging in. I undressed and got to wiping. There was so much shit, and in my second bit of luck, all the shit that hadn't landed in the cup had landed in the back of my seat or in my underpants. Fortunately, my pants were completely shit-free. I have never been so relieved in my life, and it was a good thing too, because I didn't have the time to go buy more pants anyway. I covered myself in as much Purell as humanly possible, and then I threw my underwear in the garbage, covered my seat in a towel, and walked around commando in my jeans for the rest of the day. There was chafing, but I'll take it over shitty jeans any day. I went back to orientation just in time, paranoid that I still smelled a bit like poo. I probably did, but no one said anything, and people sat next to me, so I'm gonna call it a win. P.S. To the poor lowly employee of the Chevron who had to clean up after me, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. I was desperate. Number 5. When my fiancé and I were first dating, he raved about this upscale diner/restaurant. How everything was so delicious. And the self-proclaimed foodie that I am would not be disappointed. So about 3 or 4 months into our relationship, we decide to go there. I had fettuccine alfredo, and he had the chicken pot pie. For reference, of course. So we get back to his place, and my stomach isn't feeling well. So I excuse myself and head to his bathroom and start shitting my brains out. Explosive diarrhea streaming from my asshole. But about 3 minutes into this streaming diarrhea, I started feeling nauseous. So I start vomiting into the sink next to the toilet, while simultaneously shitting my brains out. the sink started to clog. So in quick thinking, I ripped off my clothes and went into the shower and just let both ends do their thing. So I'm standing there naked, vomiting and shitting in someone's tub, who I met 3 months prior. I'm crying hysterically, because I clogged his sink with vomit, and there was diarrhea all over the toilet. I felt absolutely terribly sick. But in the midst of this, he hears my crying and decides to open the door to ask if I'm okay. His eyes met mine whilst I was standing in my own shit and vomit in a bathtub, with a sink full of vomit, and a toilet full of shit right next to me. I screamed for him to get out, and I just cried harder. We've been together for 7 years, and are getting married in September. Number 6. I had a night of pretty heavy drinking, and when I woke up, a friend suggested that I must try bacon, egg and cheese, common in New York City, but with chili. I eat it, and everything is fine. I go home, and as I'm waiting for the elevator, a bolt of intense pain shoots through my stomach. I knew I had about 2 minutes until I reached my bathroom. I get in the elevator with my neighbours, and without any warning, shit my pants, which was mainly all alcohol, chili and eggs. This liquid goop soaked through my jeans and hit the floor as my neighbours just stared at me in disgust. Thank God that they moved out of the building shortly after. Maybe it was the incident that pushed them out. Either way, I never have to see them again. Number 7. I've got 2 sisters and a brother, and we used to road trip to Alabama from Indiana. One year we were heading back home after midnight, and just after we had all gone through Indy, my brother was like, "Oh my God, I have to poop right now." We are all laughing it off until he starts freaking out, eyes watering. He is going to shit his pants soon. So at this point my dad pulls off on an exit with nothing. No fast food, just a single dentist's office with parking at the front. We have no toilet paper, and so we're digging through an empty McDonald's bag and throwing him all the unsoiled napkins we can find. He literally jumps out the car before it fully stops, and runs around the back of the building to poop. Roughly 5 minutes later, he comes shitting around the building, holding his pants, and dives into the family van. Turns out a coyote saw him and got curious enough that they kept running up to him whilst he was trying to poop. He still gets travel toilet paper for Christmas, and it's almost been 20 years since this happened. This happened to my friend in middle school. We went to Universal Studios amusement park on a school field trip. We rode there and back with another kid, and that kid's mum. On our way back, my friend kept complaining that his stomach felt bad, and that he needed us to pull over. The mum driver really didn't want to pull over, and every time we passed an exit, she would just say that we would pull over at the next exit or rest stop. This happened for at least an hour, until my friend started to moan in pain. We finally pulled off at a truck stop, and my friend leapt out the car and began to casually panic towards the bathroom. Fast forward a few minutes to me reenacting my friend's steps. As soon as I opened the bathroom door, my nose was smacked with the stench of 1,000 corpses. After a short blur from the stench, I saw an unpleasant sight. My friend didn't make it to the stall. His arse erupted and unleashed the raunchiest stool I've ever seen right in the middle of the bathroom. From there, a trail formed that led to the nearest stall. I saw my friend's feet in that stall and a pair of soiled underwear behind the toilet. Fast forward 10 or 15 minutes later, my friend walks out the truck stop in his once white but now brown splattered like Jackson Pollock shorts. I felt such pain for him, as it had to be the most humiliating walk he'd ever made. To make matters worse, and perhaps even more degrading, the mum driver made him go back to grab a newspaper so that he wouldn't stain her seats, and we rode back the last 2 hours on the interstate with the windows rolled down all the way. Number 9. I witnessed someone's liberal, I don't get paid enough shit for this story. I was at a showbiz, which is similar to Chuck E. Cheese and might even be the same place. It was for a relative's birthday, and all the kids were running about having fun and playing games. Suddenly, there's a commotion in the ball pit. Turns out that some kid had a serious diarrhea Hershey squirt blowout, and it went all over the ball pit. The little plastic balls are covered with a thin film of booty butter. I'm across the room from the Code Brown, near the counter where you trade tickets for fake mustaches and Laffy Taffy and shit. The manager tells his teenager that he needs to get to the ball pit right away, and is trying to hand him a mop. Anywho, the teenager is not having it and says, "Nah bro, that ain't me," and strolls out the doors and into the sunset. Number 10. I was a nurse's assistant a few years ago. I took one of my many patients to the bathroom like any other day. She said that she wasn't feeling well, but who feels good in a nursing home? So I'm watching her try to shit, and she turns ghostly white and passes out. I yelled for help, and a nurse and a few other CNAs come to my aid. The lady died suddenly from cardiac arrest, so now we have to carry her dead body to the bed so that we can perform CPR. Now I'm sure that you've heard that people who die void their bowels. Well, this is no myth. It's happened to everyone I've seen die, and this was no exception. As soon as we picked her up off the toilet, this lady started to do what she died trying to do. Shit like no tomorrow. At this point we realised that this lady has some serious internal bleeding and claustrum difficile. All you need to know about that is that it makes you shit 100 times more than you normally would, and it smells 1,000 times worse. So here we are, carrying a dead body by her arms and legs, while she spews a sea of smelly orange shit and blood out her ass. And all over the floor. It looked like a scat scene gone wrong. Every inch of the floor covered in blood and rancid feces. Number 11. I was feeling a bit sick one day, so I decided to have some frozen burritos. You know, the ones you get from Walmart. Well, after 2 of said burritos, I felt a rumble in my tummy, so I booked it to the bathroom. As I was trying to get my pants down to sit up on the toilet, it happened. I felt a little squirt, and then it started gushing. I fell to the floor on top of a carpet, and proceeded to both projectile diarrhea and vomit across the whole bathroom. I sat there for 5 minutes in my own filth, crying from the convulsions on both ends. My favourite pair of house pants forever ruined, and the carpet had to be disposed of immediately. My dad walked in as it was happening, and the look of horror on his face. After we cleaned it up, we both agreed to never speak of it again. To this day, when I see those burritos, I feel a little sick. Number 12. I was over at my girlfriend's house. We'd been dating for about 3 weeks, and we were sitting on the floor of the living room playing a card game like Dumbal or something. Anyway, I really had to fart, and she got up to grab something from the kitchen. So as soon as I thought she was out of earshot, I tried to quickly and quietly fart. Instead, I shat myself. This warm liquid sensation came, and I knew right then and there I messed up. I quickly stood up, clutched my arse, and tried to stop it dripping out of my shorts and penguin shuffled to the bathroom. Luckily, getting there before she got back from the kitchen. I expelled the rest of my bowels into the toilet like it were a gift straight from Satan, and then tried to figure out damage control. Luckily, she had an empty plastic bag in a drawer, so I took my shame and shit-soaked boxers off and put them in the bag. I inspected my shorts for damage, and they were clear luckily, but I still had the dilemma of what to do with this plastic bag, with a big old Walmart smiley face staring and judging me for the unspeakable hell I had just stuffed into it. I looked under the sink vanity and see that she has some cleaning supplies in the back, with a healthy layer of dust on them. So I know she doesn't go in there often. I take the bag and shoved it into a corner, composed myself, and then wiped up with some baby wipes, and then went back to play cards. I retrieved the bag from her vanity about 3 weeks later, when I remembered about it, and could go outside the dumpster without raising any questions. Hey guys, it's Mort here, and thank you so much for listening. Well done for making it all the way to the end. It was a truly explosive experience. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to drop a big thumbs up and subscribe to not miss what I have in store for you next. Tomorrow, we're going to be going back to horror. If you want to share a story, all you need to do to submit is put it as a text post on my Reddit page or send it to me via email. Both links you will find in the description. And if you want to do something truly amazing today to help support the channel, you now can, via Patreon. A link where you can find more information is in the description, as well as the links to my social media pages, which you should definitely follow me on. But anyway, for now guys, I'm going to sign off. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.